y'all. I am been feeling the vibes to experiment more with YouTube and YouTube Live, and I was actually uploading a video and got into one of my intuitive rabbit holes, and I happened to find a whole slew of comments on my Blaze AI video, and yeah, like they've had thousands of views, and I had no idea. I guess I turned off my notifications from YouTube. I don't know. I was actually really surprised I had not seen that. So here I am. I thought I would talk a little bit more. There's actually several questions in the comments. I just did 2 quick and dirty videos reviewing Blaze AI. If you missed those, you can definitely check those out in the link below. But I think what people more had questions about, not Blaze, but Gemini. I guess I just mentioned Gemini pretty flippantly, and a couple people were asking what it was and how I used it. So I wanted to talk to you specifically if you're a conscious creator, a spiritual creator, spiritual entrepreneur. That's kind of the vibes that I hang out at. But I wanted to talk to you about what Gemini is and how I use it as a intuitive coach, as an intuitive artist, as a healer. Because I have friends on both sides of the spectrum. Not to go too deep into the AI conversation, but I have friends who are very against AI, and I have close friends who are very embracing of it. And then there's this whole, there's all these spiritual conversations about, is it consciousness itself, blah, blah, blah. I actually have a accreditation. I went to AI University. I was one of the first 100 across the country to receive that certification. That was in fall of 24. So I've learned a lot, and that kind of opened me up to it. I was actually on the fence for sure, and that training really opened me up to AI and using it as a really powerful tool in my life and my business. And then it's just taken over this year. It's just totally taken the world by storm, as it continues to, and it's not going anywhere. So, Gemini, what is Gemini? Gemini is Google's version of ChatGPT. So I use both at the moment. I'm using ChatGPT and hi, thanks for joining live. And I also use Gemini. I slightly lean towards Gemini. Here's why. Gemini it's under the Google umbrella. So as a business owner, I have Google Workspace. So I use Google Docs. I use Google Sheets. I use Google Gmail. All of these things, right? So for me, Gemini makes perfect sense because when I'm in there chatting with AI, whatever, I can easily export the notes straight to Google Docs. It does all sorts of integrations that are really, really cool. So that's one reason why I love it. But I actually love it because it's just really clean, really simple. I don't want to get too into the weeds. If you guys want a tutorial, I can do that. But something that I learned early on is to create a custom gem. So in ChatGPT, I think they're called custom chats. Gemini calls them gems. So a custom gem. And can you please be in my live stream? Thanks. Send me a message and tell me more about that. So custom gems in Gemini, you can actually create different AIs for different things. So specifically, I really like to do like for branding, you can customize it to learn your brand voice inside and out. And mine now speaks more like me than I do. I can't tell the difference. So I know there's this big gap in AI where people are afraid that there is AI. People are using AI to sound like a robot, and it's not helpful. And that's where we're coming into problems. We don't want more unauthentic content. But if you're training AI, using it responsibly and consciously, it can actually help further your message out there, get your message out there deeper. So, and thank you for subscribing. Appreciate you guys. So that's one thing. I like the custom gems. I have one for my brand voice. I have one that is my marketing guru that I brainstorm marketing ideas with. I have another one for I work with the Chamber of Commerce here locally, and it's specific to them and my community and how we're trying to grow my community. So it's really neat. It's very helpful. That is the paid version. So I'm not going to go too much further into this without doing a full. I could do a whole training on Gemini, but I love Gemini. It is a very helpful tool. Again, it's just very similar to ChatGPT, but is branded specifically under Google. So Google's been good to me, so I like to hang out there. The other thing I wanted to really talk about, because I was talking about Blaze and how it can kind of integrate into your systems. So once you train Gemini to a custom gem, to know your voice, to know inside and out what your business is about. Like my Gemini knows all of my offers, it knows all of my key audiences, my ICAs for each of those offers, and it knows my websites, it has my blog links. Every newsletter I write goes in there because I want it to know me inside and out. And so it does. And so if I say, "Hey, what do you think about XYZ?" Gemini will tell me, "Well, I don't think that's on brand for you, and I don't know that maybe you should try being more in your heart," or whatever. So it's really, it knows that I'm a spiritual girly, and so it talks to me like that. It has its own voice. Anyway, the one thing I do want to say though, I know I'm talking in circles, but I think that's kind of what lives are for, right? Just chilling. Um, I have no clue what I'm talking about. Oh, well, I feel differently, but thanks for thanks for being here. Um, what I did want to say is making sure that you are using Gemini as a creative individual. So, um, using it with a human's perspective. That is the one biggest thing. It can't, if it's just going on its own, it's going to just be um, regurgitated information, right? So, I like to think of it as my personal assistant. You have to train it, you have to talk to it. Don't be afraid to push back. Don't be afraid to say, can you add more soul to that? Could you be less salesy? Could you be more salesy? Really using your humanity to bring robot speak into who you are and who you're trying to reach, what you're trying to do, and your purpose and your passion. All of this comes back to what I actually teach, which is staying in your energy, receiving guidance through your intuition, and helping people from a place of service. I'm going to end on this note, but I had a great conversation with my friend last night, and we were talking about, if you have kids. I don't have kids. If you have kids, would you like push them to be a doctor or push them to be a lawyer? And I feel very strongly that each of us have very important callings here on this earth, not just your vocation, but just in your life. And I think if you are listening to your heartbeat and doing your work, you'll know where you're supposed to serve and how you're supposed to serve. And I feel it's just as important to serve, maybe through being a waitress as it is through being something that pays $1 million an hour. And so, bringing that back to the heart of what I'm talking about, if you are standing in your truth and in your purpose and you're in alignment with where you're supposed to be, that's how these things can be really, really beautiful for enlightening society and bringing you into higher alignment. AI has been a blessing to my life, bringing me into greater alignment with who I'm meant to be and how I'm here to serve. So, all right, you guys have a great rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in.